you probably saw in the mainstream media that Russia bombed Poland, which is a NATO member, and 2 people died. And what you probably have heard or might know is that if someone attacks a NATO member, that means all of NATO gets involved. It's instant war in a large scale.
Have we done this before?
What's that?
This whole, if one person gets attacked, then everybody has to join in. Has this happened before? I
believe it was World War. Was it 1? I think. Yeah. Was it the first time the whole world tried to kill each other? And some of you might have been like, "This seems too easy, right? This seems would Russia really like?" You know, you don't have to support Russia's invasion. You don't have to support the proxy war in Ukraine in any way to be like, this seems something a little weird about this. Sure enough, here's the update. Zelensky and media lackeys caught in most dangerous lie yet. Here's the image of the AP headline: Russian missiles cross into Poland. And by the way, for those of you that don't know of the Gray Zone, great outlet, but you know, you're like, hey, he's quoting from outlets I don't know. This is actually verified by Biden and others. So even Biden and them are admitting this. With Kyiv exposed for a lie that could have triggered Third World War, it is time to examine past deceptions that Western media promoted. A missile that exploded on Polish soil on November 15th killed two civilians, and destroyed farm equipment. That's the biggest problem. Ukrainian President Zelensky and Western corporate media rushed to blame the explosion on Russia in apparent hopes of triggering NATO's Article 5, which requires NATO states to defend one another militarily when attacked by a hostile force. Polish and NATO members, including President Joseph Biden, have since confirmed the missile that struck Poland was in fact a Ukrainian S-300 anti-aircraft missile. Yeah, so this
Aren't we lucky that they use different missiles?
I know, honestly. But so even the U.S. is admitting this. Yet Zelensky is sticking to his line, blaming Russia for the strike, while NATO Secretary General
Jens Stoltenberg.
Yeah, you do that. Wait, isn't it Stoltenberg?
Well, I'm trying to Americanify it for you, okay?
I believe it's Americanize.
What Americanify? All right.
Well, why can't I Americanify Jens then?
Because every time you do that, my ovaries gag.
Don't know why it had to be your ovaries, but
because it's a very sensitive part of my body. It's Jens.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jens, I'm saying it better than you. Jens Stoltenberg still insists that Russia bears ultimate responsibility. Russian missiles hit Poland, the territory of our friendly country. People died, Zelensky insisted on November 15th. The longer Russia, this is a continued quote from Zelensky, the longer Russia feels impunity, the more threats there will be to anyone within reach of Russian missiles to fire missiles at NATO territory. This is a Russian missile attack on collective security. This is a very significant escalation. We must act. He's like trying to get World War III triggered. Zelensky held firm the following day, despite mounting evidence that his own country's air defenses were responsible, declaring, I have no doubt that this is not our missile. I believe that this was a Russian missile based on our military reports. By this time, most analysts, end quote, by the way, by this time, most analysts rejected the Ukrainian president's assessment, including the founder of the U.S. government-sponsored intelligence cutout Bellingcat. For those of you who have ever heard of Bellingcat report or tweet or anything, it is the most pro-U.S., U.S. empire. It's just like straight CIA garbage. And even the founder said, at this point, I think it's fair anyone saying that a Russian missile hit Poland based on the current evidence is being irresponsible. A Russian attack on a NATO member, Poland, could have triggered Article 5 of the NATO's compact, which compels its members to consider an attack against one ally to be an attack against all allies. Such a mobilization would have amounted to World War III. And as you were saying, it's insane for alliances to spiral out of control like that. But for those of you who saw this, and my biggest point on this is the mainstream media, like they will do tons of coverage when they think it's a Russian missile hitting Poland. But then when they find out that it's not, they'll do a little, maybe, if you're lucky, a little bit of coverage about how it was a Ukrainian missile, and that's it.
Or they'll do a retraction on page like 25.
Yeah. So most people walk away from a story like this thinking Russia bombed Poland, no matter what, even if the mainstream media admits it later.
Yeah. The damage is already done.
Yeah. And so, yet again, we see our horrific mainstream media. We see these bullshit lies. We see the parade of propaganda that's fucking hurled at us, to mix my metaphors. And it's like every time I hear a story like this, I go, we'll find out in a day or two this isn't true.
I'd say, and then somebody sent me a story about Iran executing 15,000 people, which is a lie, by the way. But I wrote
which mainstream media has also admitted was
a lie,
fake.
And I just wrote to him. I was like, anything that has to do with Iran or Venezuela or Russia or Cuba, or just fucking don't believe it if it's U.S. media. Just don't, like U.S. corporate media. Because it is just the amount of bullshit that is just pouring out of these outlets when it comes to the enemies of the state, which are predominantly people that have never actually done anything to us personally, like as a nation or as a people. It's just it's remarkable. So our media literacy is important in general, but it is very important, particularly with these nations. So yeah, don't believe it.